The Eastern Front. During World War II, it was the costliest theater of war, due to the large scale of campaigns there, as well as the fact that, historically, the Eastern Front has become synonymous with millions of death, widespread terror, and destruction. This theater of war is normally assessed on a more substantial scale than upon individual and localized accounts. However, every distinct soldier that served as a set of boots on the ground experienced the very same excitements and absolute trepidations that persisted among the ranks from the dawn of the war to unconditional surrender, the very end. For both Russian and German soldiers on the Eastern Front, these shared experiences were most commonly the extremes in temperature that only made life even more difficult for participants on both sides. The fear and pervasive terror associated with combat, as well as the often brutal and violent deaths of their brothers in arms. These overall themes define the common experience of Russian and German soldiers throughout their experience on the Eastern Front, regardless of the side for which they fought. The most perpetual constant for soldiers on the Eastern Front was extreme weather, from knee-deep mud in the spring to broiling summers with full loads of equipment, to exceptionally cold winters with not enough equipment. Quality of life on the Eastern Front was always lacking in one way or another. One Wehrmacht soldier, Günther Kostorek, recollected that
the food is ice cold. It is not frozen. It's good. Thick chicken noodle soup with lots of canned beef. Much better than what we get in the bunker. These men have more than earned these decent rations.
While suffering in the cold Russian winter, German Soviet soldiers had to deal with food that froze solid en route from field ovens to the front lines. The living conditions that these common soldiers were subjected to were horrendous. There was no heat available, no fires were allowed for tactical reasons. The jackets provided by each side were not thick enough and often became waterlogged. And there was never enough supplies to subsist on, especially in terms of food. For the Germans in Stalingrad, who had no logistical support and were cut off from their own lines, there was no food nor ammunition, so soldiers had to scavenge, going so far as to eat rats they caught in order to feed themselves. Whenever a comrade would be killed, often comrades would strip the casualty of ammunition and clothing in order to fight on. We interviewed Ruski Kamradovich, a Russian soldier in Stalingrad.
I've been fighting the Huns since December. The hands, or my fingers on my left hand, are completely frozen. They are useless. My right hand, only my thumb and my pinky work in order to grip my mug. But I can still kill the Hun with my small finger on my right hand. Long live the motherland!
Though these terrible conditions proved to be a persistent thorn in the side of the soldiers on the Eastern Front, it proved nothing in comparison to the conflicts they would experience. Each soldier had to worry about his and his comrades' survival, which was paramount to all other things. In Stalingrad, which saw the most brutal fighting during the war, the city was in ruins due to perpetual fighting, bodies piled up in the streets. There was constant artillery and mortar bombardment. One German soldier recalls standing on a hill watching Stalingrad burn.
A terrible sight, and we can feel Stalingrad's hot breath. This must be how Rome felt when Nero put the torch to it. Except the screaming shells and the high explosions, only increasing madness, give the onlooker that this is the ends of the world.
The Russians were trying to protect their homeland. The Germany wished to perpetuate itself and gain living space. Each side fought for what they believed was right, as the cause of all conflict. The Eastern Front saw some of the harshest fighting during the war. Several soldiers referred to the Eastern Front as hell itself. Any soldier caught in the open would be shot instantaneously. There was no retreat nor surrender for either side. While Hitler ordered surrender is forbidden, Stalin ordered not a step backward. All they could do was fight. Each army shot thousands of their own soldiers for cowardice. One soldier recounts.
Oh, hello! Oh my gosh, you guys, I did not see you. I am Oberkommando Fritz, Ein Panzer Division. We are completely cut off and surrounded. There is no hope. I was horrified when I saw the map. The men do not know yet, but I suspect they will soon find out. Do you see this? It is my happy family. The Russians do not see this. We will all surely die.
Nothing could be more horrifying or demoralizing than loss of life. For a group that had become incredibly close as a result of intense circumstances and trial by fire, this devastated units. One Soviet soldier recalls when his comrade Suvorov was killed. I cried, like women cry beside the dead body of their beloved. I howled, like little children howl, when they are greatly and unfairly offended by someone. Abdulin, another Soviet soldier during the Second World War, recalled the death of a comrade as a life-altering experience. For Gottlob Herbert Biedermann, the Wehrmacht soldier fighting his way through Sevastopol, this moment came when one member of his unit broke under pressure.
A member of my gun crew who had bravely served through all our previous engagements suddenly scrambled to a far corner of our trench, pulled his helmet from his head and screamed, over the roar of the explosions, "I can't take it anymore!" Foaming at the mouth and his eyes wide with terror, he struggled to attempt to spring from the trench. Grinding his teeth, clawing and struggling wildly, he fought to escape. He suddenly sprang forward as if possessed, sprinting bareheaded through the clouds of smoke and dust and disappearing towards the rear.
Günter K. Korashek, another German in the east, would be tested during an assault on a Russian defensive position.
The Russians' bombardment and machine guns ripped into the assaulting Germans, and a tumultuous inferno of violence and unceasing destruction comes pouring down. We are lying flat on the ground, without any cover, wishing that we were moles so that we could crawl to safety. I'll run, bent double, driven on by fear that I'll be hit any moment. I feel hot waves running down my back. Sweat pours from my forehead down into my eyes, making them sting. I throw myself flat on the ground and stick my head in between my shoulders like a tortoise.
The deaths of soldiers and the breaking of will among unit members destroyed morale and would prove to be the most taxing of all factors associated with war on the Eastern Front. Each side observed comrades die, snap and break under pressure, and as a result, each individual's will would wear down. There was little hope, and eager nationalism faded into grizzled veterancy and cynicism. There was no mercy and little chance of survival. Each individual that served as a set of boots on the ground, regardless of national origin, was accustomed to the very same thematic problems and experiences that had existed for any other soldier anywhere or any time else during the war. For both Russian and German soldiers, the fighting conditions on the front were harsh and unforgiving. Regardless of logistical failure, the fact that they were ill-equipped and that their brothers in arms were decimated, they would still continue to fight until their mental or physical capacity to serve was broken. These were the overall themes that defined the common experiences of soldiers throughout the service in the Second World War, no matter the time or place in which this conflict occurred.